I want to make a quick disclaimer before we start. The video that you're about to watch is intended as entertainment value only, and it does not endorse gambling. If you have a gambling problem, please seek professional help. Hello, and welcome to part 1 of my 4-part series on the Powerball lottery. As you all know, the chances of winning the Powerball lottery, or any lottery, are not in your favor. However, that does not stop people from playing the lottery, especially when there are jackpots like the January 13, 2016 Powerball jackpot of $1.5 billion. Let's start by looking at your overall chances of winning Powerball. First of all, you have a 1 in over 292 million chance of having the correct numbers to give you a jackpot prize. That's like taking a 5-gallon bucket of sand, reaching into the bucket, and selecting just 1 grain of sand, putting that grain of sand back into the bucket, and pick out the same grain of sand a second time. It can be done, but what are your chances? What it really comes down to is pure luck. You have to be at the right place at the right time when you purchase your ticket. Many great computer programmers wrote elaborate programs on the world's most powerful computers, only to win nothing. And then I heard some years ago a kid was holding his lucky rabbit's foot while he picked out numbers for a friend, and that ticket ended up winning. People are winning lotteries every day against astronomical odds. So that got me thinking, is there really a better way to select your numbers? When the Powerball jackpot was at $1.5 billion, I wonder if there was a way to statistically decrease the amount of possible number combinations overall. By decreasing the amount of possible number combinations, I figured it would increase a person's overall chances of selecting better combinations of numbers to play. So what I came up with is that chart that you have been looking at since the start of this video. First, I would like to say that this chart represents all the winning Powerball drawings from August 31st of 2005 through January 3rd of 2009. During this period, Powerball used 55 numbers for the first 5 balls drawn and 42 numbers for the Powerball number drawn. Within this time frame, there were 350 drawings. I just want to note that since Powerball started, they have changed the amount of balls that they have used a total of 7 times. This chart represents the 4th version of the game. In my next 3 videos, I will be talking about the 5th, 6th, and most current version of the Powerball lottery. So let's start by having me explain how I designed my chart. What I want you to know is that my chart is actually a bell curve that is used in statistics. On the left-hand side of the bell curve, you see the number 16. There is only one way to get a 16. That is to select the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the Powerball number 1. The sum of these numbers is 16, and 16 is the lowest sum that is possible to play. On the right-hand side of the bell curve, you see the number 307. There is only one way to get a 307, that is to select the numbers 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, and the Powerball number of 42. The sum of these numbers is 307, and 307 is the highest sum that is possible to play. The next step is to find the midway point between the numbers 16 and 307. Now, if you look directly at the middle of the bell curve, we locate the midway point. The numbers 161 and 162 represents this location. We then draw a black line and label this point. The numbers 161 and 162 are tied for having the highest amount of possible number combinations. Unlike the sums of 16 and 307, where there is only one way to get each of those sums, there are 3,132,290 ways to get 161 and 162 combined. Next, we have to find the midway point for each side of the bell curve. Let's start with the left-hand side. Since the number 16 is the lowest point on the left-hand side, and 161 is the highest point on the left-hand side, the midway point between those two numbers is 88 and 89. We draw a red dashed line and label this point. We do the same thing for the right-hand side of the bell curve. The midway point between 162 and 307 is 234 and 235. We draw a red line and label this point. The next step is to calculate the next two midway points on the bell curve. We first want to calculate the midway point between 89 and 161. The midway point between these two numbers is 125 and 126. We draw a green dashed line and label this point. We do the same thing for the right hand side of the bell curve. The midway point between 162 and 234 is 197 and 198. We draw a green dashed line and label this point. We now have our chart constructed, and I will explain how the 350 Powerball drawings during this time period are represented on this chart. Probably hear my cat in the background. Like I said towards the beginning of this video, there are 350 drawings that are represented by this chart. Out of the 350 drawings, 14 of those drawings fell within our red zones. On the left hand side of the chart, we see that only 6 times the numbers drawn fell between 16 and 88. On the right hand side of the chart, we see that only 8 times the numbers drawn fell between 235 and 307. This adds up to a total of 14 times the numbers drawn, when added up, fall within the red zone. Percentage-wise, that makes up only 4% of the drawings. Not too good. Out of all the drawings, the lowest sum of the numbers drawn was 72, and the highest was 266. And that is not even close to 16 and 307. So, if your numbers, when added up, fell between 16 and 72, or they fell between 266 and 307, statistically speaking, you lost before the Lottery Commission even drew the numbers for that drawing. They could have won, but the chances are it's not going to happen. So now we move on to the green zones. Out of the 350 drawings, 83 of those drawings fell within our green zones. On the left-hand side of the chart, we see that only 46 times the numbers drawn fell between 89 and 125. On the right-hand side of the chart, we see that only 37 times the numbers drawn fell between 198 and 234. This adds up to a total of 83 times the numbers drawn, when added up, fall within the green zone. Percentage-wise, that makes up only 23.7% of the drawings. Not bad, but not really good. So if the numbers you select fall within the green zone, you have somewhat of a chance of winning. However, the odds were still greatly against you. Finally, we arrive at the black zone, the money zone, that I like to call it. The black zone goes from 126 to 197. This represents roughly 25% of all the possible sums that you can arrive at by adding up the numbers that you select for your ticket. Even though it only represents 25% of the sums that your numbers can add up to, it represents 71.2% of all the possible number combinations, or 104,086,452 different number combinations. The odds of winning are against us, but by following this chart, we are able to eliminate 42,021,510 different number combinations to play. So in the black zone, out of the 350 Powerball drawings represented during this period, 253 of these drawings fell within the black zone. That makes up 72.3% of all the drawings. Now, granted, any combinations of numbers have the same chance of winning over any other combinations of number. However, statistically speaking, you have a better chance, although very slim, of winning if your numbers, when added up, were between 126 and 197. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do play for real, play within your means, and if you do happen to win big, please remember to pay it forward and help those less fortunate. And in closing, please be on the lookout for my next video in this series. Thank you and have a great day.